In this video, I'm going to be making Chipotle Chicken Burrito Bowls with Mexican black beans and cilantro lime rice, plus all the toppings.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to be notified when there's new videos. Comments welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so to get started, I'm going to be making the marinade for the chicken. And this is, of course, Chipotle chicken. So we're going to start out with Chipotle peppers. And if you're not familiar, Chipotle peppers are red jalapeno peppers that have been smoked, and then they're canned in adobo sauce. And they're the jalapenos get hotter as they ripen. That's when they ripen, they turn red. Normally the green ones we eat are green. They're not ripe yet. So the red jalapenos get a little hotter. So Chipotle is generally kind of hot. Depends on, of course, how many you use. And we're just using 2 here. And I'm just going to dice them up fairly small. Then in addition to the Chipotle peppers themselves, I'm going to use a tablespoon of the adobo sauce. Ingredients for the marinade. Need some onions. And I want to dice those up a little smaller. And this marinade is not just a marinade, it's actually a sauce. This recipe uses garlic salt. I usually don't like to use garlic salt because you can't control how much salt is in it. Depends on the brand, but okay, got our chicken. And I'm using boneless, skinless chicken thighs again. You could use chicken breast here too. And I'm just going to remove the excess fat and trim off anything that we don't want on there. Sometimes with these boneless chicken thighs, you get like little bones on them or a piece of bone. And I am going to cut these in fairly small pieces. Just my preference for like tacos or burritos is I have small chunks instead of large chunks. For fajitas, often I do strips, but it's probably just because that's the way the restaurants seem to do it. Now that these chicken thighs, these boneless, skinless chicken thighs are so cheap lately, like getting them for $2.50 a pound regularly. Use them on almost everything. Chicken breasts are still cheaper generally. The thigh is, I think it cooks nicer. It's much easier, much more forgiving to. All right, so now it's time to mix it up. Want to get that meat well coated with the marinade. Okay, and then I'm just going to cover it with plastic wrap and stick it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to cook it. And of course, the farther ahead you do this, the more flavor it'll probably get, but an hour is good. Even a half hour, whatever you got, actually. But all right, now the chicken broth is my own homemade chicken broth, and it's frozen. So I'm going to thaw it out a little bit here in the sink. I'm going to run some hot water in there. Should have thought about getting it out earlier. And while that water's getting hot, I'm going to go ahead and measure out the rice. And as I said in the intro there, I'm going to be making some Mexican black beans and cilantro lime rice to go in our burrito bowls. And I'm going to be making the rice in the Instant Pot, as I usually do. So I'm just going to measure out a couple cups here, and then I'm going to rinse it in cold water. Now the water that's running right now is hot. I'm trying to wait for the hot water to come up so I can fill that sink with hot water to thaw out the broth. There we go. And so while I'm waiting on that sink to fill, start working on some of the toppings. And I'm going to shred up some lettuce, or really just thinly slice it. This is romaine lettuce. You can also just buy a bag of the shredded lettuce, of course. Or you can do cabbage. Okay, diced up some tomatoes. Some Roma tomatoes. jalapenos. Okay. Got enough water in the sink for to thaw out the broth, so switch it over to cold water. We'll rinse out the rice. The idea here, of course, is just to get out all the starch. So that's what makes the rice stick together. So I just rinse it until the water is pretty clear. It doesn't have a lot of the white starch dust in it. That's looking pretty good. Plus I'm getting tired of rinsing it, so. All right, get out the Instant Pot. Now I know this thing's pretty old, but it's like one of the original ones before everybody made electric pressure cookers, when the Instant Pot was basically the only one. Okay, we'll just wait on that rice, finish it up later. Go ahead and slice this stuff. Now, I'll warn you, if you're sensitive to the jalapenos, you might want to use gloves. Get some nitrile or latex gloves and do this. But actually, I'm finding that jalapenos are not as hot as they used to be. I think that's, from what I've read, they've been engineered so that they're more uniformly the same temperature or the same heat. And for restaurants and manufacturers, of course, would like that to have the consistency in the peppers. And I think they're actually called A&M jalapeno peppers, but I can't remember. I think it's something like that. I thought I would just do one, but that doesn't look like enough. All right, finally I'm getting back to the tomatoes. Did get all that other stuff done though. Now, I like the Roma tomatoes for this, for like dicing. Okay, now we get to the cilantro here. Gotta have a lot of cilantro. I love cilantro. So obviously some people don't like it because it tastes like soap, but I love it. And of course I need some, not only to put it on in the burrito bowls, but also in the cilantro lime rice. So, just gonna chop all this up. And I don't bother just pulling the leaves off. I just chop up just have a few stems in there. It all tastes good and the stems aren't tough or anything. Okay, let's check. Well, the broth is thawed out some, but don't worry, the Instant Pot will thaw it out the rest of the way. It'll just take it a little longer to make the rice. And that's about 2 cups of broth. And I'll add that now. Before we cook it, get the garlic salt in there. All right, seal it up. Make sure you set the vent sealing to the seal position. Now you're probably wondering about why I didn't start the rice yet. It's a little early to start the rice. It's ready to go, but I'll cook it. I'll do it a little later. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is I'm going to be making some guacamole. It's an easy, quick guacamole recipe. And the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of salsa. You do want to taste things as you go. Well, he's done. So I'm just going to put that in the refrigerator until it's time to eat. And of course, guacamole will turn brown if you just let it sit out in the air. So cover it with plastic wrap and then push the plastic wrap right down on top of the guacamole so there's no air in there. To add a little extra flavor to the beans, I'm going to use some bacon grease. Cook the onions in. And just for flavor. Of course, if you don't have bacon grease that you've saved from cooking bacon, you could use lard if you have that. Or just use some olive oil. Alright. Pan's starting to warm up. Let's get our onions in there. And so we'll let that cook for a little bit. Now this recipe calls for 3/4 cup of chicken broth, but I'm going to use just some water and better than bouillon. I'm just debating there, and I decided to go ahead and just add it directly in. No sense mixing it with the water first. Gotta find my favorite spatula there, the spoonula. For these beans, you can use any kind of beans you want, really. The two most common I use are pinto beans or black beans, and this time I'm using black beans. And then also a can of diced chilies. You could also use a can of diced jalapenos. I did that once and didn't realize the jalapenos are hotter than the diced chilies. You just dump it in with all their juice and everything. And actually, it turns out this can is whole chilies, not diced. I thought I grabbed diced chilies, but okay, so we'll just have to dice them up. I always think it's kind of funny how they fold up the chilies in the little cans. Turn the heat up there. So what we do with cooking this is we just need to, actually you normally would just simmer it. You just want to simmer it and reduce down the liquid till it's whatever consistency you like. Now go ahead and get all the spices in there. Kosher salt. Okay, and then we're going to add in some fresh cilantro. I like to do this now and let it cook in there and simmer in there, added more flavor. You could do it at the end as well, if you'd like to have the green leafy leaves in there. Okay, so finally I'm going to cook the rice. The rice isn't going to take long, so just going to have it go for 3 minutes. Just need a bowl for that. I'm just checking the beans recipe here. I forgot the bacon crumbles. That's why I always try to check the recipe while I'm stirring, or at least think about it, but it won't matter in this case. We're just using the pre-cooked ones. Okay, rice is done. We'll do the quick release on it. All right. Perfectly done rice there. We'll get the butter in, get it melting. And the Instant Pot is still on its warm setting. So it's going to just continue to keep the rice warm. Okay, you got our lime juice for our cilantro lime rice. Now we'll go on with a recipe calls for a handful. So, I don't know. I just keep adding it and stirring it up till I think it's got enough. Now remember, we added garlic salt before cooking, so I'm just going to taste it here and make sure it's good, but it's good to go. Put the lid back on to keep it warm. Another thing I almost forgot was my lime. I always like to roll them a little bit, try to smush them up a little bit, release more juice. There we go. Time to get going with the chicken here. Okay, finally time to cook the chicken. Stir it up, make sure it's well coated with the marinade / sauce. So the beans are getting about to the consistency I want, so I'm going to turn them down a little bit. Okay, beans are ready to go. Now we're just waiting on the chicken. Everything else is ready. It smells so good. That steam coming off there, I'll smell that Chipotle chicken, man. Okay, so we got our little mini buffet with our Chipotle chicken, our Mexican black beans, cilantro lime rice, guacamole, fresh made, and the rest of our toppings ready to go. All right, so I'm going to make up my burrito bowl here. Start out with a bunch of rice, Mexican beans, black beans, Chipotle chicken, a little more. Now I just got to load it up. I love these kind of meals where you just make your own deal. Load it up with whatever you like. You don't have to worry about the person at the restaurant and how much they decide you should get. Well, you get one scoop. Got to make it healthy with some lettuce. Get some guac. Sour cream. Almost forgot the onions. Salsa. A little hot sauce. A little Cholula. All right, looks pretty good. I'm going to dig in there and try some of that chicken. And it is tasty. Hope you enjoyed the video.
If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to be notified when new videos become available.